I'm sorry, we have
apologize to cut you off.
Yeah.
We are going to go to a live breaking scene right now that's really heating up. We just want to say thank you. We appreciate the job that you're doing, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
So I think we just saw some tear gas being dispensed.
All right.
Let's go to Boyd.
We're
Boyd?
Randy, we're on top of a parking garage roof. We're on top of a parking garage roof. The reason that we've ducked down is the authorities down below just shot some sort of a projectile up onto the roof. And so we ducked down. I think we can take a look back over the ledge here, because what's happening down below us is a large group of law enforcement officers have amassed on the freeway. And if you look down the bridge, down the freeway toward the Washington Avenue Bridge, you'll see there was a group of protesters that was approaching from down here. I can see them. There's still some of them have scattered, understandably, but there are still others that are now underneath the bridge deck, and I can see their feet, but not their bodies. So I don't know if their hands are up or if they're getting closer to the officers or farther. But they are vastly outnumbered. Again, here's the line of officers. They have vastly outnumbered the people that I can still see on the freeway, and it would take a very brave soul to approach those officers at this point. They were shooting off some sort of concussion grenades. Again, one of them reached up to the rooftop that we're on, 5 or 6 stories up, which sent most of the people up here scattering. And we did witness, I believe, a couple of arrests. Devin, am I right about that?
Yes, about 6.
Okay, 5 or 6 arrests. Earlier we showed you the protesters who were nose to nose with this line of officers, and those people have now been arrested and taken into custody. And then the other larger group of protesters that were approaching from up underneath the bridge. This is the southbound lane. Well, actually, we're crossing both the north and southbound lanes of 35W, not far from the Metrodome, just to get your bearings. Mm-hmm. And it kind of started just as we just as we predicted. Right after 8 o'clock, so right after that curfew, the officers started to move. They've been patiently waiting before then.